Hannah Baker is dead. And I watched it happen. In fact, millions of teenagers watched it happen. Hannah Baker is a lead character in the newly trending TV show, 13 Reasons Why. She's a 16-year-old girl, a girl my age who dies by suicide. Before her death, she records a series of 13 cassette tapes, each addressing a person she felt was instrumental to leading her to the point where she had no choice but to take her own life. Hannah Baker is fictional, but there's a reality behind our screens. Hannah Baker is fictional, but she could have been one of our friends, one of our sisters, or one of our classmates. Hannah Baker is fictional, but we can all relate to her barrel of emotions. I know I have. I know my friends have. Being a teenager isn't always easy. According to the Journal of the American Medical Association, suicide is now the second leading cause of death in young adolescents. These are ages 15 to 24. It now accounts for 1 in 6 deaths. If suicide has become so prevalent among society today, it is essential that we talk about it. And we have started initiating conversations. Only 2 decades ago was this topic a complete taboo, yet these walls have slowly and surely started to lift. The media, schools, friends, we're all starting to initiate conversations. We're just doing it in the wrong way. Let me explain myself. There's this concept called contagion, and although it's often applied to the spread of disease, it can also be used in the context of suicide. According to Patrick O'Carroll, who works with the CDC, when contagion is used in the context of suicide, it is defined as when the suicide or suicidal behavior of one or more persons influences another to commit or attempt as well. This is most prevalent among teenagers and is often caused by the way that the media depicts a suicide. So yes, the media has initiated conversations. It's just doing it in the wrong way. There are 3 key triggers of contagion. 1, representing suicide as a way to meet a certain end. 2, oversimplifying suicide. And 3, representing suicide in a graphic way, whether it be through language or imagery. And it saddens me to say that 13 Reasons Why contains all of these 3 key triggers. Firstly, it represents suicide as a way to meet a certain end. There's a false notion within 13 Reasons Why that suicide is a way to teach others a lesson, and that the deceased person will finally, truly be understood. Hannah Baker starts each of her tapes off with, "This tape is for," targeting a character she felt led her to her final decision. Whether it be breaking her heart, breaking her soul, or breaking her spirit, she wants that character to know that they should feel guilty. A suicide should not be portrayed in this way. However, we see guilt embedded in every single individual character who listens to their tape, showing us as an audience that she has succeeded with her overall goal. Secondly, it oversimplifies suicide. There aren't 13 reasons why someone chooses to take their own life. There's nothing remotely simple as 13 reasons about the situation at hand. According to the Samaritans organization, which is a registered charity aiming to provide aid to those in distress or those at risk of suicide, 90% of people at the time of death have a diagnosed or undiagnosed mental illness. However, not once throughout the entire 13 episodes is mental illness or depression touched on, oversimplifying the entire situation. Oversimplifying the perceived triggers or causes of a suicide is misleading and does not accurately represent the complexity of the situation. Thirdly, the suicide scene is quite graphic. I had to avert my eyes. I even shut my screen, and I know the same goes for many of you. Brian Yorkie, the showrunner of the TV show, said, "We wanted this scene to be painful to watch because we wanted it to be clear that there's nothing in any way worthwhile about suicide." He believed that this scene would be a deterrent. Yet trust me when I say the effect is quite the opposite. Research indicates that graphic scenes of a suicide increases distress, as well as it can increase the risk of imitation by vulnerable teenagers who have attempted before. If this scene could be detrimental to a vulnerable teenager, it is far from ethical. Netflix has a massive platform with over 94 million paid subscribers. Thus, it is essential that they portray positive messages. Yet here we are with a TV show containing 3 key triggers of contagion. Why are we letting the media talk about suicide in this way? It is essential that we talk about suicide because silence isn't going to help anyone. But the media has a responsibility to understand that the way they portray certain content has an effect on an audience, especially a young one. The media has long ways to go in regards to improving their conversations surrounding suicide, from going from causes to prevention, from changing their language. Yet while these conversations exist on the media, we as a community, as a school, are not immune to contagion. So what can we do to protect ourselves? Firstly, we must have more profound conversations. When 13 Reasons Why became a hot topic at school last year, steps were taken by the administration. An email was sent out to parents telling them to take caution of this new TV show. Yet, it wasn't our parents that needed that email or that conversation. It was us. We were the ones oblivious to the fact that that show could have had detrimental results. We were the ones continuing to binge watch those 13 episodes. And we were the ones that needed a platform for conversation. The steps taken were far from enough. Instead, a prevention program should have been set up, a program open for discussion. There are prevention programs being used worldwide, and research indicates that these prevention programs should be across a larger frame, not just talking about suicide, but talking about mental illnesses as a whole. They should be working to strengthen protective behaviors, as well as strengthen resilience. They should be working to educate and empower students. But most of all, they should be available to all, not just those at risk. We already have a safe space like advisory, so we need to use this platform to our advantage. Secondly, don't fall into the media trap. Don't take the bait. The media wants us to click on everything they publish. Happiness, sadness, shock, it's all in there just to make us click on it. I sure did take the bait. I was oblivious to the fact that violence and drama was added just to make me keep on watching those episodes, although it may have had a detrimental result. So when it comes to the dangerous content out there, we must exercise our right to choice. Because once we do click on the content, every word, every sentence, and every story has an impact on us. And it's not always positive. We need to learn to protect ourselves. However, let's not step back from the progress we have already made. Let's continue to initiate these conversations in the right direction. But let's turn 13 Reasons Why into 13 Reasons Why Not. Thank you.